Everyone knows the classic Lodge skillet. It's reliable, heavy, tough as a locomotive, cheap, manufactured here in the US of A, and above all, ubiquitous. But not counting all of the decorative novelty casts, Lodge actually has 3 different skillet models. We got the $30 classic that everyone knows and loves. There's the $45 Chef Collection and the premium $80 Blacklock. But Lodge themselves actually says very little about what differentiates these 3 skillets from one another. They're all made in the USA, seasoned with vegetable, aka soy oil, and these other things that are just features of every cast iron skillet ever made. The Chef Collection has spatula-friendly sidewalls and ergonomic handles, and the Blacklock is triple seasoned, lightweight, and has an extended raised handle that stays cooler longer. Not a whole lot to go on, honestly, and not enough to tell me what dishes or cooking styles each of these skillets is really best suited for. So I decided to buy one of each and see what's what. Are the more advanced models worth the price? Now, at first glance, there are some obvious differences here. The classic Lodge skillet has this shorter, straight handle. Does what it needs to do. The Chef Collection and Blacklock both have a longer, curved and angled handle that's supposedly more ergonomic. But one thing I noticed right away when picking these up is that the casting process, it leaves kind of sharp edges along the sides of these handles. And on the basic, classic $30 Lodge skillet, they took the time to grind those sharp edges so that it feels better in your hand. It doesn't cut into your hand in the same way. It's not like they're knife sharp or anything, but on both the Chef Collection and the Blacklock, they didn't do this. You'd think that they'd give the more expensive skillets at least the same amount of attention and like premium finishing as they give the $30 basic one, but they didn't. They didn't grind that at all. So when you hold these handles, you feel that in your hand. It's just less comfortable and less refined. And the Blacklock, I think, is the worst offender. It feels the sharpest out of the 2. All 3 have the same texture. 9 of these are smooth skillets or milled skillets. They all have the same Lodge texture. The Blacklock is advertised as being triple seasoned, and it is visibly darker. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera or not, but in person, it's pretty obvious that it's visibly more black. As for the difference that actually makes when cooking, I haven't noticed any difference. And the basic Lodge seasoning, just the single layer seasoning, is already extremely thick and tough and durable. So I can't imagine that it being triple seasoned will really make a noticeable difference, but it's darker if you like that. The helper handle across from the main handle is identical between the Chef Collection and the Classic, whereas the Blacklock has a thinner, more refined, more curvy helper handle. I don't really have a strong preference between the 2 different helper handle styles. The Blacklock helper handle adds less weight, which is nice. And speaking of weight, the classic Lodge skillet weighs in at 3,496 grams or 7.7 pounds. The Chef Collection shaves off a lot. It's 2,880 grams or 6.3 pounds, and the Blacklock is 2,770 grams or 6.1 pounds. As for height, Blacklock 2 5/16, Chef Collection 2 exactly, and basic 2 1/4. Blacklock handle 6 inches, Chef Collection 5 1/2, basic 4 7/8. Now the Blacklock is obviously a thinner cast than the other 2. Blacklock wall thickness about 3.8, Chef Collection 4.36, basic 4.89, 4.76. This allows it to have taller walls, the tallest of the 3, while still being the lightest of the 3. Interestingly, the Classic and the Chef Collection have the same base thickness, but the Blacklock, despite being the lightest skillet, actually has a slightly thicker base. as you can see from my level test here. All of these skillets at this size, the 12-inch size, have pour spouts. So I devised a pour test to compare how well they work. Oh God. Wow, okay. Okay. That was good. Chef collection. Not as bad as the first time. Still pretty bad. Ultimately, Chef Collection was definitely the loser on this test, and the Classic and Blacklock were very close. I think the Blacklock might have been slightly superior in the pour test, especially because it is lighter and easier to handle. To evaluate how fast each of these skillets can heat up, I devised an ice cube test. I dropped an ice cube in, turned the burner on to high, and waited to see how long each skillet would take to completely melt the ice cube and then to completely evaporate the water. Right after the ice cube test, yeah, it's fine here, but I would not want to hold on to that. The Blacklock is the clear winner on this test, though not by a lot. But that's still impressive because, as we just found out, the Blacklock actually has a thicker base, which you would think would make it need more time to heat up. But perhaps because the thermal mass of the walls is much lower, the walls draw less heat away from the base, allowing the base to heat up more quickly. Then to test heat retention, I heated each skillet at exactly medium heat on my burners for 10 minutes. And then I poured in 1/3 cup of pancake batter and immediately turned off the heat to see how dark each pancake would be cooked. The Blacklock again seems to win here, producing the darkest pancake, followed by the Lodge Classic, and then Chef Collection. Why did the Chef Collection produce a more blonde pancake than the Lodge Classic when they have very similar dimensions and profiles? I don't know. If I cared enough, I could repeat this test 10 more times to make sure that I'm getting the right results, but I don't. It's not that important. The Blacklock is the winner on this one. To test comfort and handling, I held out each skillet at arm's length and just held it there for as long as I could. This was a terrible idea. Oh boy. Be super scientific. Oh boy. Okay. Blacklock. Left hand, because I injured my right elbow doing this. This is the dumbest way to get an injury. I thought this was going to be easier, but this handle is actually kind of awkward to hold like this. Maybe. I even compared the ring that each skillet makes when struck. And of course, I cooked with them a little bit. So after all this very scientific and not at all silly testing, what do I really think about these three skillets? Well, I like the Blacklock. There are some things I really like about the Blacklock. I like that it's the lightest of the three. I like the thinner cast, the thinner walls. There's no reason to have really thick walls. I like that allows it to have the thicker base and have a higher heat retention than the other two and heat up more quickly. and be the lightest. So that all is cool. I don't like the Chef Collection. The only reason I can think of that you would want this is if you like this handle style, or you want this contour, this more gradual contour between the walls and the base. I guess it might make it easier to flip whatever omelets or pancakes or something. Or if you're the kind of person who does the air flip, then you might be able to do that more easily with this, but it's still a large cast iron skillet. So you need to be a power lifter to even flip a crepe or whatever you like to flip with this skillet. It lost the pour test. It lost several of the other tests. I feel like it's got less capacity because the walls are the shortest. I just don't like it. And this handle doesn't do anything for me, especially because they didn't grind the edges of it. So it's sharp, it digs into your hand. And speaking of handles, I don't really like the Blacklock handle all that much either. This cutout here, while in theory it's cool that it would slow the transfer of heat from the skillet to the handle, in practice it didn't really seem to work that well. And handle test. This is the one I'm excited for. Okay, comfortable there. Oh, too hot to hold right here. So again, even with this triangle cutout, you have to hold it at the end. Not comfortable. Doesn't help all that much. And because of this taper, like it's very uncomfortable to hold it next to the skillet itself. You have to hold it here, but as you probably learned in middle school physics, the longer your lever is, the more difficult it is to hold something. So let's say this handle was out here and the skillet was still here, it would be extremely difficult, probably impossible for me to hold it. And that holds true even at this point, this far from the skillet. It's easier to hold the skillet right next to the body of the skillet. And so that's why I just like the classic handle. It's not broken. It was a good design. There's no need to improve on it, in my opinion. Maybe someone will make a better handle. Maybe I'll encounter a better handle. Maybe I'll encounter a better handle design that makes me change my mind, but these aren't it. The triple seasoning on the Blacklock, while it makes it look more black, I don't think it practically is going to make a difference in your cooking and maintenance of your skillet. Future Noah here. One more thing that I've realized about the Blacklock is that, oops, that's not the Blacklock, is that this decoration on the back, while cool looking, this decoration on the back, while cool looking, is raised. Now contrast this with the Chef Collection or the Basic. There is some decoration here and it's raised, but it's raised from a circle that is indented. So overall, it doesn't interfere with the heat transfer on, say, a glass top electric range. I don't have a glass top to test this on, but just be aware that if you do have a glass top, this might interfere with heat transfer, making the Blacklock heat less efficiently on that kind of stovetop. And so ultimately, I gotta recommend the Classic. Unless you're looking for the specific features that one of these others represents, if you're just someone who knows you want a large skillet and doesn't have any other requirements beyond that, then I would always recommend the Classic. There's really no need to spend $15 more or $50 more for one of these other models when there's trade-offs. You know, you're not just getting a pure upgrade, in my opinion. You're getting maybe some things that are a little bit better on the Blacklock, but also getting some things like the handle that are worse. And the Chef Collection, I don't know why anyone would want this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe a chef out there knows and loves these more gradually contoured walls and really prefers it, but it's not for me. I don't like the Chef Collection skillet at all. So save your money. If you're going to buy a Lodge, I say just get the Classic. Raylene, however, seems to prefer the Blacklock. So I'm getting a lot of skillets. I'm collecting more and more skillets as I make these videos. And so at the same time that I bought these three, I bought another Lodge product, this Lodge storage tower for skillets. which I quite like and recommend if you got a lot of cookware and you're not sure where to put it. But in a hypothetical world, what skillet could Lodge offer that would be a real tangible upgrade worth paying a much higher price than the classic? Well, like I said, there's a lot about the Blacklock that I do like. I like everything over this way. I don't really like the handle. I would prefer the classic handle on a Blacklock body. That would be cool. I like the taller walls with the higher capacity. I like the thicker base and the thinner walls, the thinner cast. But definitely spend the time, Lodge, grind away that sharp edge here. You're already doing it on your classic skillets. Do the same treatment on your Chef Collection and your Blacklock. But I do say this handle here, just keep the classic handle. No need to mess with it. Just keep it how it is. And of course, if you've been watching this channel at all, you know that I like my skillets smooth. Now, any real premium skillet that you're going to buy in modern times is milled smooth. It takes more time, more effort, more personal attention. Yes, the specifications are tighter. It requires more quality control. It might result in more skillets having to be thrown back in the smelter to be melted down and recast, but it's worth it. For those of us who like smooth skillets, that is the premium experience. And if you're going to offer a premium skillet, then that's what I, as a consumer, would want from a premium Lodge skillet. That's what would make it worth not just $80, but $150, $200 even. And I think if Lodge wanted to, they could probably wipe out a lot of the business that those premium brands like Smithy and Field and Lancaster, etc., wipe out a lot of their sales if Lodge offered a slightly cheaper but premium milled skillet than they do. USA made. And I know Lodge knows much more about the industry than I do. They know much more about their business model. And I think they've certainly had I think it was probably decades ago, they've had milled smooth skillets. And for whatever reason, they decided to stop offering that and haven't offered it in a long, long time. And it's probably because people know Lodge for what you see here, rough cast iron. And that's what they come to expect. And perhaps by making their most premium skillet milled smooth, that would be them admitting that rough is in fact inferior. So perhaps that's why they don't want to do it, or it's just, it doesn't fit in with their current factory layout and it would take a lot more effort and training for their workers or personal attention, and they just don't think it's scalable or worth the effort. But speaking as a consumer, that's what I would want in a premium Lodge skillet. And of course, for now, in reality, we don't have that. What we have is these three offerings from Lodge. And what I recommend is the classic right here for $30. And if you want to turn this into a more premium skillet, then you can grind it and polish it smooth yourself at home. If you want to watch a video of me doing just that, click here.